Hello, everyone. Here you are at the very end of your structured literacy lesson plan. You're ready to complete the fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension components. Let's get started. All right. So, fluency. Remember, you've completed word study, spelling, written expression, instruction, and all of that builds as you go into the fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Fluency is defined as the ability to read with accuracy, speed, and expression. And this is really important because we know that more fluent readers comprehend better. So fluency connects with that comprehension piece and that comprehension component. You'll find the fluency standards in the KSDE ELA standards under the grade level that you have chosen for your lesson plan and the subheading fluency. So it's right there for you in the standards, labeled as fluency, which is awesome because that makes it really easy. So choose a standard that you plan to focus on for this structured literacy lesson plan. Write a quality, solid objective, and then choose an assessment, a way to assess the fluency of your readers. This can be or is intended to be informal. So you can use a checklist, something like that, or maybe you record your students reading and you can review that later. That can be a possible assessment. Just keep in mind an informal assessment is appropriate. So students need fluent reading modeled for them first before they are practicing through daily read aloud. It is important to read aloud to your students so they have somebody showing them what smooth, fluent reading sounds like. And they love it when you read to them. So I know that there's a lot of videos out there where authors read books, and sometimes it's actors and actresses reading books, which is great every once in a while. But there is nothing that can replace you. You are their important person during the day. And I promise you that if you start reading aloud to your students every single day, you will build a community of readers, and it will be a special time for you and your class. So we need to give students opportunities to practice oral reading fluency and make this fun. You can do this in lots of different ways. Partner reading with controlled sentence passages that include the word patterns that we've been talking about with word study and spelling and that have been in the written expression. Um, all of those all of those pieces, you can utilize that and put it together where students are then reading sentences that have that instruction in them. You could choose a poem that connects to the comprehension text and you read it aloud to them and then have the whole class read it aloud and then have students read it to each other. This is a fun way to include fluency also. So include a fluency piece in your structured literacy lesson plan and have fun with it. Vocabulary is the next component. Okay, the vocabulary standards can be found in the KSDE ELA standards under the subheadings craft and structure or language and reading literature. So, language and reading literature, you can find craft and structure and language and reading. Literature will be fiction text. So these are fiction stories, stories that are just made up. If that is the text that you chose, then you'll look in these places. The craft and structure standard, it's the very first one, and it talks about vocabulary explicitly. You'll understand when you look at the standards. And then the reading and the language and reading standards would be underneath that heading. Look for one that matches the vocabulary that you're looking for. If your students are reading an informational text that is nonfiction, you'll look under reading informational for these standards in the craft and structure and language and reading. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have questions. Once you find your standards, you're going to write a strong objective and then you're going to support it with an assessment. The types of vocabulary that you need to emphasize are listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Vocabulary affects all of these, which is powerful. So we need to be building that vocabulary in our students every single day. Being intentional about the vocabulary words that you choose is so important. And then utilizing these vocabulary words, not just when you're teaching the structured literacy lesson plan, but throughout your entire day and possibly throughout your entire week, will pack a punch. Your students will start to own those vocabulary words and use them in their own conversations. And that's really what we're looking for. We want to broaden their vocabulary so that they are better communicators. And you can be a part in helping them do that. Some of the vocabulary strategies that you can utilize is explicit instruction, making sure that you are providing that vocabulary word, and a student-friendly definition is so important. You can use list group label strategy where you list the words and then you put them into groups and have them explain why they put those words into different groups. Label different items with the vocabulary words. Encourage students to use context clues, and maybe you put up words on a word wall so you can reference those words, like I said, throughout your day or throughout your week. And here we are. Here's the good stuff. Everything that you've done in this structured literacy lesson plan has built to this comprehension component. And this is where you get to read the story, read the text. So make sure that you present this as a gift to students. So we've done all of this work with all of these words, and we've learned all of these things, and it's going to help us to understand and to read this book that I chose for you even better. You can find the comprehension standards and the KSDE standards under reading literature. If you're reading a fiction text, under key ideas and details, craft and structure, integration of knowledge and ideas. Or if you're reading an informational text or nonfiction, you'll look under reading informational, key ideas and details, craft and structure, integration of knowledge and ideas. Look in these areas, find a standard that you want to focus in on, just one, and write a quality objective that's going to help the students meet that standard and create an assessment as well. Now, throughout this comprehension component, we really want you to be thinking about the questioning that you will be asking students. Quality questions make a huge difference in eliciting good conversation and helping your readers to think deeper about the text and to understand it better. So please include 4 to 5 questions in your instruction that you intend to ask before, during, and or after you read the text. You can include them throughout because you'll be reading the text in this comprehension component. This is where you read the information, and you might read to your students, or you might read part of the text to your students and then have students read together and then partner read on their own. And that would include the I do, we do, you do framework that we know that gradual release is good for students. Remember to include 100% participation opportunities where students can discuss the questions that you're asking. Maybe you stop, if you're reading aloud, you stop and there's something that's really big that's happened and you ask your intentional question, but you ask students to discuss it in a small group before you discuss a whole group. That small group discussion helps you to have a 100% participation opportunity. This is just an opportunity that everybody in the class can participate. And that oral language and talking about the reading is so important that you want to embed these within your instruction. Then, when you are discussing whole group, students have already practiced talking about the text, and they will feel more confident offering up their ideas because they've already tried it out talking with their peers. And you can go around and listen to the conversations and then kind of tap somebody who maybe doesn't always share in class and say, hey, that was a really great thing that you said. Why did you share that? It can help you to support students who need confidence in participating in class. And that's what we're wanting. Comprehension strategies that you can include, but you don't have to. You can choose depending upon the standard that you've chosen. Use a Venn diagram to compare and contrast. Use a story map where students can draw out what's happening in the story if you're studying the plot and looking at the plot. Cause and effect graphic organizers are helpful. Asking and answering questions, which we're requiring for you to do, and including discussion is something that we're requiring you to do as well. So think about those graphic organizers and how a visual might help your learners if they're in need of that. Okay, so here you go. You're ready. You're ready to write these final three components, and you're going to do great. Remember, the greatest gift is a passion for reading, and that's a quote from Elizabeth Hardwick. I also love this one by Malala. Let us remember one book, one pen, one child, and one teacher can change the world. So, teaching reading is just a privilege. So, appreciate that and offer reading as a gift to your students. I know you're going to do great.